I'm not going to do it. Good afternoon.
Good job.
Yeah, right. We're live-ish. Today feels crazy. I don't know how your Monday has been, but mine has been constant, urgent deadline nuts. So, excuse me. Yeah, we've got a project with USF that is kind of off the rails, and we've got a project with the children's board that we're working on that's off the rails. It's fun. Everybody wants to wait till last minute to get their headshots and bios and everything in
Uh,
unedited, and we're printing today, and it should have been done 3 weeks ago, and it's like they finally, man, it's just
and
I
you're
don't.
supposed to be the miracle worker. Well,
Yeah,
the reason is you usually produce and do it,
I
so
do.
people just expect you will.
Yeah. Uh, should I not make miracles happen? Let things fall through? I don't know. That's not me.
I don't know if
Uh,
that's a good solution either. So
no. But then they come to expect that every time. You're right. So it's rough. It's tough. It's a challenge. But that's aside. Right now is HEF. Right now is stream time with Brenda. How are you today, Brenda?
I'm doing great.
Good. Good. Glad to hear it. Crystal, how
I'm,
are
I'm
you? I
getting
know
to
I
be
just
a
saw.
better juggler than I used to be because I'm got more balls in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
It is. This season for home education has been quite an adventurous season. I don't know if there's another way to say it. That's the kindest way I think I can put it. No, I could probably put it more kinder, but I don't want to be bad. It's not negative. There's just so much happening. There's
Yeah.
just so much happening.
I don't
Every
know
time we
what I
turn
would
around.
have done if you two hadn't been on board since May because I'm busy all the time answering questions for
Sure.
homeschoolers, but with PEP on board,
It's taken off.
I just
It's like
I couldn't have done it. There's no way.
It's been
And
crazy.
and I feel like we were a big player in this because people couldn't get answers to their
mhm.
questions anywhere else, and we've done a pretty good job not to be the ones giving the scholarships out
Right,
to
right. And
answer
not to pat
people's
ourselves on the
questions.
back, but yeah, like it feels like the need took a massive leap all at once. Like it's like I had barely heard of HEF and all the work that you've done. Shame on me, but I had barely heard of it, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like it's critical. It's key. Things are happening rapidly and taking leaps, and there's urgent issues and questions all at once. And I'm just, I don't know how this was done in the 90s, where they're flipping through paper to find stuff. You can't hit Control F and search a document. You know what I mean? Like now you can. Now we can upload the document to the website, like
Right?
hit Control F, search for language that's in that, and like we can find it. And I just don't even know what the 90s was like, Brenda. For like flipping through actual papers, getting
Yeah.
ink on your fingers, like
Yeah.
what? What?
Yeah, it was very time consuming and scary for fear of missing something that, there was no way to track.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no system to just type something in and double check, "Hey, did I miss language here?" Like that's wild. Anywho, anywho. Well, we're here now and we're doing it. We're keeping up with it. If you haven't tuned in, or if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm going to hit our sponsors. Um, We like to do this at the beginning and the end of our streams. One of our top sponsors is FPEA, and they have some exciting information that they've passed to us that we're going to share with you today as well. But we definitely want to stop and say thank you to them for being one of our partners in this. They are one of our top sponsors. I know that we've been saying we have more to come, and we do. It's just that all of these things take time and getting all of the tiny little pieces put together. If you haven't seen their place on our website, it's really, really cool. Just go on over to what is man F. I can't talk this morning, so bear with me. FLHEF.org, and when you click on top sponsors from the very, very top, it'll take you down. And when you click on sponsor info at HEF, at FPEA, we put an entire page together for them that talks about the relationship between HEF and FPEA and some history. And a lot of good contact information and things to follow up with there to get in contact with them. But things like that we have to put together for our top sponsors because we love them so much are key. And we do want to say thank you, but these things can take time to put together. So be that as it may, Deline House says thank you. Thank you so much, sponsors. Even if it's only $5 a month, don't forget to support HEF. They are the reason we have homeschool freedoms. Thank you, Deline. We really appreciate that shout out. But that made me think of something. Oh, I have seen a couple of sponsorships cancel lately. It blows my mind. You know, like we're still getting all of the back end pieces of that site up and running, so we don't have anything automated to kind of filter or ask people, like if they cancel, why, and things like that. And we're still working on putting together a monthly here's what's going on to send out to all of our sponsors, whether it's $5 or $1,000, whatever the sponsor is. We're getting all of that together. Bear with us and be patient, but we we need your sponsorships, and we love doing the work that we do to take care of you. And there's more kind of going on in the background to try to grow the what would you say, the community support side of
Yes.
what we're doing. Because lobbying is technically, I mean, well, Brenda, you can talk about what lobbying technically is rather than me. Go ahead.
Well, lobbying is about maybe 5 to 10% of what we actually do. Most of the work that we do
Year
is what
round.
we've been doing on live streams, where we're answering parents' questions, helping them work through issues that they have with the district, um, and many, many other things that come to our our phone or our emails. But the lobbying aspect, and lobbying is actually when you're influencing legislation. So at the moment, we're not influencing any legislation that's being passed. We're going to when the session starts, but right now we're just trying to help parents with implementing what passed last session. So a lot of the work that we do is basically education to parents. And believe or not, we get a lot of questions and emails like, I can't get my child into a public school after homeschooling, or I can't find my child's records to pass on to a college, and how do I apply for bright futures, et cetera, which are just educational questions and helping parents. So if you want a place where you can go to get help when you're frustrated, generally that's when they find us.
Yeah. And so we're working to grow that community support side of it. And so the that takes a bulk of the work.
We're also trying to create an opportunity for kids who don't want to go to college and who want a career that is a very high paying career. That we will be giving you more information in the coming days, but we have some things going to help you in other ways, or help you and your children in other ways. So, um, that,
Mhm.
like Jason said, that's one of the things that's going on in the background.
So Brenda, we have Jolie is commented in the comment section. She says, "Hi there. We are setting up a petition to ask the state to change the situation with PEP, the situation where many of us are not funded and many parents are having trouble with the reimbursements and not being able to purchase the things they choose to use to homeschool. Can I post a link to this group on on our group? I think you will be able to receive more funding from homeschooling parents in this way." I think she's wanting to post a link to her Facebook group on our stream. Uh, at least that's what it seems like.
Or maybe the other direction. It seemed like maybe she was wanting to share about us to her Facebook group.
Okay, yeah. I mean, she did post the link in there. I had to remove it because we don't really want a bunch of links in the comment sections here there are times whenever we're going to be posting links that we need information to drive people to or stuff like that. But by all means, you can link to us from your group, or if you want to invite one of us, like my wife, to join your group and kind of, help if there's questions, help field some of those questions, what people might ask. She's done that in other groups as well. So you can find her, Crystal Crawford, on there, and just add her by all means.
Let me just comment on that.
Yeah.
What they're asking for in terms of reimbursement and getting funding is really not a legislative issue. That is an issue with the scholarship funding organizations and trying to work this out. Again, this is a new, complicated program. Educational savings accounts only apply at this time to the FESUA and to the PEP. That means that parents who get these scholarships have the opportunity to customize the education for their children. But administering those two programs, because they are educational savings account, is very complicated. And the SFOs, we know, particularly Step Up, is working really hard to make that happen and for it to be a very smooth transition. But gosh, I couldn't even begin to do the back end stuff that they're having to deal with to try to make that happen. So while parents may be frustrated, I say this all the time, I don't mean to sound harsh, but you didn't have money to start with, and now you're being given about $8,000 a year. So be patient, it will come, but there's a lot of complications involved in it. Now, there are some things that need to be tweaked in the legislation going forward, but that's not one of them.
Yeah. And I don't know what the nature of what she's asking to be changed is, but she did say,
I think I probably do.
Okay, she did say that I want to share your information with our group, and yes, please join our group. Thanks. So if you want Crystal, follow up with Crystal, make sure she gets into that group. I handle social media marketing as a part of the work that I do, so I try to keep my notifications clean if possible so that I can keep track of everything that I have to do for work sake. So I try not to be too embedded in too many different groups. And there's a lot. It'd be great if we just consolidated all of it into one. Which one of the things our forum is for.
You can also direct people to our forum, because when we do have updates and information there, I post them in the forum.
Or questions like these.
And questions like these. And there's also some clarifications in the forum as to why certain things are happening the way they are and what is 100%. A legislative issue and what isn't. And so the forum is probably a good resource. I know right now a lot of parents are frustrated for two reasons. One, because a lot of them are still stuck in that limbo where they were PEP and got switched back, or never got switched over, and they're still waiting, and they haven't been funded, and they don't know what's going on. Yeah. Again, there's information about that in the forum. I've been keeping updated as I find out what's happening. And then the other thing people are frustrated about is they've been funded and they submitted reimbursements, but they haven't actually received any reimbursements yet. Again, there's information on the status of all that and why it's taking time. We've been covering that as we get information from Step Up in the forum. So that's a really good place to follow.
And the forums are not just a place to see information that's been posted. It's a community place.
Yeah,
so
you can
it
post
is a place for discussion.
Too.
Yeah. So everybody's trying to, I've seen it happen over the last couple of months where it's like, oh, we created a group for this, and we created a group for this, and we created a group. It's like we've tried to create a place to consolidate everyone. If you want the little micro groups, we can create you a little space inside of
and
that.
PEP isn't all we do. It's just the hot
No,
button topic. So
there's a
we
lot of
also
things in the
have
forum.
forum sections for UA if you have questions about that,
Yeah,
for general
for
homeschooling
new
questions, like
homeschoolers.
about homeschool law for Florida in general. We've got a
Hmm.
section for that. So any questions that you have related to homeschooling, like Brenda was saying, those questions where you're not sure what to do about something or you're frustrated,
Hmm.
you can come to the forum and post those there as well.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for that is because as we get more fractured, everybody keeps making a group for this and a group for that and a group for that. It becomes more and more difficult to find a way to
Hello?
consolidate the voices in order to show someone that. Um, sorry, I muted Brenda since she took a call. In order to show someone that uh, the collection of voices matter, right? When it comes to it, and if they're all fractured and all over the place, I think that's one of the things that's historically difficult about home educators in general is we almost pride ourselves in not being able to be found, right? Like we're not on a list, we don't exist, you can't even get to us, and it's a point of pride in a lot of ways. But it becomes very important for us to be able to actually be there and be able to be seen as a collective at certain times. So, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, we had more comments come in. So, Brenda, I muted you, so you have to unmute yourself because you took a call. So you'll have to click the unmute
We
button.
were supposed to have on today, so let me talk about that right now.
Can I get to the two questions first that are in the comments? Or the two comments that came in? Can I grab those?
Go ahead.
Okay. Delene says, I'm now at 6 weeks since one of my children has switched to PEP and her sister is still in FESEO. I've done tickets, requested to speak to managers. I have not redone everything over and over. The first time was mid-August and again September 18th when they told me to do it again. Is there still hope that my second child is going to switch before they reach their cap?
We don't know, but if you'll send us the information on your
I've,
child.
I've already reached out to my contact about Delene because she did message me, but maybe Brenda can try hers as well and we can see what we can find out. In general, though, if one of your children switched and the other one didn't, they told me that those are supposed to be fixed because they were going by application.
Okay.
So there is still hope. I think they've got a lot of mess to sort through in terms of how their system would categorize people, I think.
Mm-hmm. Then someone else asks, have you gotten information about the actual time frame on getting the funds to the card once reimbursement is approved? Step Up gives different answers every time. I had some approved 4 weeks ago. Sounds like no one has gotten money to their U.S. bank cards.
As far as I know, reimbursements are still kind of on hold. I'm sure they're processing things. We don't have a time frame, but like Brenda said, it's a lot for them to coordinate right now. And keep in mind that they're not just dealing with reimbursements, they're also still trying to fund people to start with. There are some people who haven't even been funded. And then they're not just dealing with PEP, they're also dealing with UA and other scholarship programs. So I think this is going to be.
It could be that they're trying to get through things in phases.
I know that they did some stuff with funding a batch from UA that hadn't been funded yet last week. That's why they shut the site down. So they are working on things. Just keep in mind that they are dealing with a lot of things at once. And this is quarter one of a brand new scholarship program that they had to hurry to get everything together for. So like Brenda said, just try to be patient. I know it's frustrating. But the answer is no, we don't have a timeline. And you will get different answers every time you call customer service because they don't always have all the information. I would encourage you to attend the upcoming open house for PEP. There's one coming up on the 26th. They sent out an invitation for people to sign up. There are 3 sessions. They've told me that they're going to be covering some of these questions. I don't know specifically if it's going to be that one, but they are going to be covering some of the parents' questions in the open house. So make sure you attend that one.
Lupita just commented and asked, in my group, Florida homeschoolers dual enrolled, a parent was asking for help because her homeschooled dual enroll student at Seminole State College has switched to PEP. Seminole State does not know how to handle PEP students in terms of allowing students to dual enroll for free. They told her they didn't know what to do. Any insights I can pass along?
We're still trying to work with the state colleges to educate them, but if that parent will send their information to us,
Mm-hmm.
we will try to see if we can get that handled individually for you.
Yeah.
This is the other, 85 to 90% of the work that Brenda does, reaching out
Yeah.
to colleges and individual places to educate them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Let
good.
me,
So, Brenda, you were on a call, and
yes.
I think the first part of what you said was cut off. I know what you're about to get into, but no one on our stream does. So, start from the beginning and go back
I'm,
to.
I'm sorry to be so rude to take a call during the live stream, but we were supposed to have a guest on today to talk about the STAR assessment.
Yes.
Unfortunately, she's doing a training in Michigan and what could not get cut loose in time to join us today. So we're going to try to set it up for next week. But it's pretty exciting because
Mm-hmm.
we've been asked the questions about, well, what about kindergartners and how are we going to test those for the PEP? And there is an assessment out there called the STAR assessment. And a family who is now homeschooling, they moved here from someplace else, but they decided to homeschool their children in Florida because we have such good laws.
Hey.
Has now purchased licenses for parents to be able to give the assessment to their children at home. And the good part about this is you can use it as a tool if you choose to do so, where you can give the test. My understanding is as many times during the year as you want to, if you purchase a license from them. And one of the benefits, which we have not worked out yet, is if you purchase one of the license for the STAR assessment from the link we're going to put in our forum going forward, is they're going to make a contribution to HEF out of the money that you're paying. So that will be a big help in our fundraising. But we did an hour-long conference with Adrienne Harvey, who is the lady who's doing the training. She and her husband have started Northridge Academy, and that would be the way you would sign up for this assessment. But it can be given at home, and that was something that everybody was interested in. Or they may be able to arrange a place for you to go if you choose to do that. But correct me if I'm wrong, Crystal, because Crystal was on the call as well. This assessment will go from kindergarten through 12th grade and can be used. It's already approved by the Department of Education. It's on the provider list for Step Up for Students. And so you can purchase it with your PEP funds. And I believe it goes up to 12th grade.
Yeah, I believe so. And the really cool thing about it was they have different levels and different types, and some of them really are for pre-readers. So your kindergarten students who aren't really reading very well on their own yet, there's a version of the test for them. And all of the versions of the test are essentially guided. So as the parent, all you do is log in and start the assessment and just be there to kind of oversee it. It's not a complicated proctoring process for the parent. So it seems like a really good option for people to do at home.
So we plan to have her on today to talk more specifically about the test, but that's a reason for you to join us next week because they're going to try to make that happen. They had a scheduling conflict and she couldn't be available today in time to get on. So while we're talking about assessments, let's shift over to the classical learning test that has just been approved by the legislature to be on par with the ACT and the SAT. Yeah, I'm not really that familiar with what's in the CLT, but I'm excited that FPEA is going to have the home education liaison for CLT on a webinar on November 7th at 7:30. It's a Zoom call, and she's going to talk about the CLT test. However, that's going to be after the deadline to sign up for the free assessment that New College is making available to homeschoolers who want to try it for free and just see how they do on that. So we just got information about that today. Unfortunately, I was supposed to get it several weeks ago, and somehow our communication didn't follow through. And I called today, and there's only 3 more days for you to sign up for that assessment. The assessment's being given, Crystal, did you say November 2nd?
Yeah, that's what the email says. It's remote proctoring. You can take it from home or school, and it's happening on November 2nd. But the registration for the free test is only open through October 26th. So we'll put all the information, the links to all of that in the forum. I'll do that after we finish the live stream today. I'll go post that in our forum.
But if you want your child to try that, there's some more slots left for it.
Mhm.
And I would suggest you go right after Crystal gets that in there after the call today, because literally we just got the memo before we went on the air. So,
And you said, excuse me, New College of Florida is the one that's down in Sarasota is hosting that.
Yes.
right.
Okay.
And they really are reaching out to homeschoolers. They want to try to change the culture in the college, and they think that homeschoolers can be a big help in doing that. And so they're making a lot of things available to homeschoolers in order to entice them to New College. So,
There you go.
Jason, what section of the forum should I post that in, or should I create a new section for that just so people will know where to find it?
Excuse me. Let me look.
Because I was looking at the forum trying to figure out where I was going to put it so people would know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like. It looks like it might be good to create a new category. Perhaps just call it testing, so that any of the testing questions
Okay,
or
I'll make a
categories,
testing category. So if you're
subcategories
looking
can
for
fit
that
there.
link, we can also, that'll also be a great place to post our info about the STAR assessment when we,
Yes.
after we
Yeah,
have the
because I
call.
think all testing kind of
Yeah.
questions or subcategories that branch out from there. You know, it would be good to have a master one that just said, hey, this whole
Perfect.
tree.
So then look for that, look for a new section to pop up in the forum for testing, and that's where I'll post the CLT information.
And somebody asked for the forum, so I'm going to go ahead and drop a link in Facebook for the forum itself. The forum can be found at FL, that's Florida, FLHEF.org/forum. And that's where you can find all of the helpful information. There's a whole community there. It's not just posts of like, hey, we posted this, hey, we posted that. I was trying to explain that earlier. Questions like the one that Lupita had, where, you know, there's a parent who has a need and a connection with Seminole. That stuff like that is great to throw up in there. We get alerts on everything that someone posts in there, so we can follow up with those. It also means that by the time you, because in order to post in there, you have to create a membership, but that's free. There's no cost to that. But it also means that we have the needed contact information to follow up with you if we need to follow up with you directly, right? So there's a huge benefit to doing it that way. Anyway, Jolie
Let me
says,
say one other thing.
ahead.
We didn't quite finish when I was talking about what for them to contact us about when they think there needs to be a change in the legislation. We certainly want to hear from parents. I didn't want to
Yes.
shut that door.
Good, yes.
Because we don't know what everybody's experiencing unless you tell us.
Correct.
However, some of the issues are not going to be legislative issues. So we'll pick out what we think needs to be done to change the law. But some of those issues, especially about the funding, is just stuff we're going to have to work out with Step Up, and then Step Up is
Sure.
going to have to get it working really
And
well.
Step Up does have a process for adding curricula to it. They have a feedback loop that they've created where you can submit and say, hey, we want this to be added. Again, it might take time because they're working on many, many things, but there is a process for that. So that's really helpful. Jolie replies and says, I did not want to set up a new group. It was the last thing I wanted to do. I just see that I'm not being funded. So if I complain about it, does it mean that they will withdraw the scholarship? The answer is no. Also, some people are wanting to buy particular curricula, but they cannot because there are certain products we can purchase that are in the Step Up list, not what we want to purchase. I think this is kind of a conversation we've been having for a long time.
Can I speak on that one?
And Step Up. Yeah, go ahead.
You can purchase whatever curriculum you want to purchase. It just might not be in the direct pay store. And so that's where I think some of the misunderstanding happens. The direct pay store is there as a resource for parents. It's a convenience for parents and a help to not have to pay out of pocket for things. But that doesn't mean that you can't purchase something else if it's not in the store. Now, if you're like us and you don't have the money to buy out of pocket for things, I understand that that's a frustration, especially with the time that it's taking for reimbursements. I do understand that. But like Jason was saying, Step Up has a system in place where if you want to request a vendor to be added as a direct purchase in the shop, they have a system where you can request that. Just be aware that it might take time for them to, they have to contact the vendor has to want to be in the shop, the vendor has to agree to it. There's a whole process. But even if they don't do that, you can still purchase that curriculum. Step Up does not have the right in legislation to dictate what you purchase and what curriculum you use for your child. As long as it meets the criteria for curriculum, which is very broad in the purchasing guide and in legislation, the only restriction they give is that it can't be deemed harmful. So what they told us when we talked to Step Up is, bomb making guides, they won't approve. But pretty much anything that is within reason, a reasonable curriculum that is not dangerous, they have no legislative right to deny reimbursement for that. So you can purchase whatever you want. You just may have to wait to be reimbursed for that. You can submit it for reimbursement.
Arlene says, I'm interested in asking them to add other vendors. Where can I find that?
Let me see if I can grab the link. Hold on.
Yeah, it's
also they're saying they're happy to add anything if they're getting more than one request for that. So I'm sure that if you've got friends that want to use the same curriculum, or you want to contact the curriculum vendor and have them, as Crystal said, get on as a provider, then it would make that process easier for you and anybody else that wants to use that. And a couple of years ago, I went through that with somebody who wanted something as a special curriculum for a child with special needs. And it was a process because the vendors had to agree to be on that platform in order to get direct pay, and they didn't know whether they wanted to be or not. So sometimes it's, not just Step Up that's holding things up. It may be the curriculum vendor. And some of those that are being approved right away are curriculums that already have been approved for the FESUA. So it may be easier to get those on there, but those may not be the curriculums you want for the PEP students. So we had the same problem with the FESUA students initially in trying to get some of the curriculums approved. And a lot of the vendors don't want to receive direct funding. So if that's the case, then you're just going to have to purchase it and wait to be reimbursed, as Crystal said.
Hey, Jason, I'm dropping a couple of links into our chat that you can share.
That's the one I just provided.
Okay, I'm about to send the one for parents to actually request.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because there is
the one that I put is a link for the vendors themselves to apply. to connect and be made available in the list. Language.
Oh, on the page that I just sent you,
Mhm.
that is the vendor and product information for the vendors that are already in My Scholar Shop, but there on the left of that page, there's a product and vendor request. You
Mhm.
literally can click if there's a specific product you want added that's like the vendor has this product, but that product's not in My Scholar Shop. And then there's a vendor request form that you can click if there's a vendor you want them to add. So this is coming from
Yeah.
the parent side to actually request for Step Up to reach out to those vendors and add things, whereas the other link
Yeah.
is coming from the vendor side for
Right.
vendors to request to be added.
I apologize to everybody on the stream. I clicked to grab those links from her, and it shifted all of their faces over. So you lost them for a minute. Thank you for those. I did drop those links, and that's good. Denise Campbell asks, is the free CLT test being offered only for 11th and 12th grade CLT test?
I do not know the answer to that. Do you, Brenda?
I
It
don't
did say
know.
juniors and seniors on the announcement that I saw, but I don't know if it's limited.
It's
Let
that,
me see.
yeah, I
Or if it
clicked
was
on the,
just that they primarily thought it would be those people.
well, I clicked on the page, the link, and it says it's an online college entrance exam for 11th and 12th graders. So that may be the only grades that the CLT is.
Yeah, that's the first. Did y'all put in the link to? You're gonna post that, but you can
I'm gonna
maybe.
do it in the forum.
I
Yeah,
put in the
it
link
says
to
it
Adrian's.
says 11th and 12th
Okay.
graders. So yes.
And I did drop the link to Northridge. Hopefully they join us next week. We'll try to get toward adding them.
This one, do we want to drop the link for CLT here, or do we want to just put it in the forum?
Well, yes, we do.
Yeah, go ahead and drop it.
This is the link they sent us, the registration link.
Sorry, your faces are
Now
going
that's through New
Smudged.
College of Florida, as we said.
Yes. And here's the link for that CLT test. So just directly
and it
there.
says,
But also go to the forum and check it out.
I
We'll
will
post
put
it
it
there
on the
as well.
forum too.
Yeah. And share this video with anyone that you think might also find it helpful, because these links will be in the chat that they also see beneath the video. So any of the links that they see this as a resource and want to access, they'll have access to all of it as well, just by sharing the video to them. And then they can potentially sponsor us so that we can keep doing these things for everyone.
Yeah, and I'm making myself
That
a
would be
note
good.
to also create a forum post that has the links for requesting a product or a vendor to be added to My Scholar Shop, just to make it easier for people to find that, because it's kind of buried in Step Up site. You have to really look for it.
I just got onto your, I guess now will you be discussing year-end testing today? I don't think that was on our schedule to talk about today, but if there's a question,
Yeah, if
post
there's
it.
a specific question we
Yeah.
could answer.
Yeah, it
Let me-
exists. It
One
doesn't
thing
exist
I'd
over.
like to know is if there are any FESUA parents out there having difficulty getting a IEP from the district who are interested in having an IEP for their student, because sometimes that is a significant difference in the amount of funding that you get for that child. I just spoke with a parent who is pulling out of the FESEO and going into home education, and her child has a level 5 matrix, and that goes up to $27,000. A level 4 is about 20,000, and I believe the level 3 ranges from about 9 to 14,000. So you can see there are big jumps in that. It's hard to get an IEP from a district, but I was able to get some language in the bill last year in HB1 that said that the school districts can use private therapists and professionals who are working with the child in place of the ones provided by the school district. That's important because those psychologists and teachers that are on the IEP review board for the school district. They don't know your child. And so if you have updates, I know with one child that we were working to get a higher IEP a couple of years ago, they had regular documentation on a weekly or biweekly basis from their ABA therapist. And so with that and information from the doctor and from OT and PT that they were working with, the district was able to review and do their work based on those private professionals and get a higher level matrix for their child. So the districts are supposed to know about that. It's something that I've been very interested in trying to work out with just the legislatures, with DOE and all of the other people involved in this, to try to find a smoother path for parents of children with disabilities to be able to get the matrix that actually reflects the services that that child needs. So if you've tried at the district and you haven't been successful, let us know and we'll see what we can do to try to help you with that district.
Absolutely. Let me check and see if there are anyone who commented on that. I'm further up in the. I'm having to keep two places. No, not yet. Okay. So someone asks. Okay, we'll get to that. Someone says, has anyone heard when the transaction tab will be back? I feel like I've gone over cap for certain categories in the MSS, but figure since it's already approved and received, it's on them.
Okay. Let me take this one.
Yep.
I don't know if the transaction tab is coming back. I never had a transaction tab because I'm new. But I know what your question is referencing. If you're trying to figure out what categories they're putting certain purchases in from your My Scholar Shop, you can actually see that once the order is placed. I went into my orders, and if you open the order in My Scholar Shop and you go down into details, there's like an other section in the detail under each individual item, and it lists a category. Now, the categories don't exactly match the purchasing guide categories in terms of how they're phrased or worded. So it's still sort of a guessing game as to exactly how those are being pulled out of certain caps. I have reached out to Step Up to ask for clarification on that, and I have not heard back. So if I hear back, I will post in the forum about it. Also, make sure, like I said, hit the open house just in case they cover things like this at the open house. I don't know if they're going to.
That's until the 26th, right?
Yes, the 26th. But if I do hear back from my contact at Step Up about those questions, I will communicate that information in the forum, because I know people are worried, myself included, trying to keep track of how much you've spent from certain caps, certain categories in your spending. And because the My Scholar Shop doesn't actually show you before you purchase how a product is categorized, that makes it complicated. So again, that's something I've reached out to them and expressed concern over. And if I hear back, I will let you know. I know Brenda is an advocate for just removing caps altogether. So maybe in future with the legislation, maybe they'll change that to where there aren't caps. That would make it simpler, I'm sure. I think that the caps are well intentioned in terms of preventing like ridiculous exploitation of certain types of purchases, but
Sure.
Without it being communicated clearly what categories things fall under in the My Scholar Shop, I've run into that same issue of, well, am I going to go over the cap? For example, the biggest one for me was science kits, because they are hands-on, and the ones I were buying weren't directly connected to a curriculum. So are they going to be counted as manipulatives, or are they going to be counted as curriculum or something else? The manipulatives cap is very small. So I could easily go over the manipulatives cap for the year ordering science kits if they're counting those as manipulatives. Now, when I placed the order, they showed as resource materials, which again is not an actual category in the purchasing guide, but I'm assuming falls somewhere under a curriculum related expense, because others of the things I purchased, like some board games and things, came through as toys and games, which I know are going to go under manipulatives. So again, I understand the confusion. That's for those of you who weren't sure what the question is, that's what they're asking. I'm 99% sure. But if I have any more information from Step Up, if I get any information back, I will share it in the forum.
Okay. This next question takes a little bit of a different turn. Lupita says, personal PEP question. My son would like to take flying lessons. I have considered switching to PEP in order to use those funds to pay for flight school. Do you happen to know if that is something they will fund? I looked at the handbook and I can't see anything against it, but would love to know what insights you might have on this idea.
I think it would depend on where he's taking it. I know that in Brevard County, they actually have a career and technical program for flight aviation, airplane, I don't even know what to call it, but the actual airplane maintenance category. And if that's the case, then that would be covered because it is a school district program that you would pay for. I don't know if it's in the adult education, but I think it's just like their career and technical curriculum. So it would depend on where he's going to take it. If it's private flight lessons, that would have to be cleared with Step Up for Students. I don't know if that would be considered an educational activity. I can't make a call on that one.
Okay. Elizabeth D'Angelo says, I joined a little late, so apologize if I'm asking something you already answered. Excuse me. I know in the handbook it says 60 days to approve or deny reimbursements, and then it starts again if they need more info. Is there any process there that says if it's past 60 days of waiting on the reimbursement, then XYZ happens? Like, just keep waiting is what the gut says, but I'm unsure if something is in the legislation or not.
So right now, we kind of touched on this briefly earlier, but right now, Step Up is dealing with essentially the launch of a brand new program. So
Yep.
the wait times for everything are longer than people would like right now. They didn't open the portal for reimbursements until last month sometime, as far as I know. So nobody is yet at the 60 days. If you reach the 60 days and you still haven't been, then I would submit a support ticket. That's really all you can do at this point, as far as I know, because I know that they are working to process everybody's reimbursements, but they have an enormous amount of things to process between PEP and UA and the brand new system and switching everybody over to Emma. And they sent out all the debit cards for reimbursements when you submit your reimbursement request, but then there was issues with how the debit cards could be used that didn't quite line up with what they had initially said, and they had to send out communication about all that. So there's just been a lot going on. At this point, it hasn't been 60 days for anybody as far as I know. So it's definitely just be patient and wait at this point.
Okay. Melissa Stanchek says, I heard there is a session in Tallahassee in the beginning of November. What are the things you will be talking about, and how can we pray for you?
We don't know what's going to be on the agenda. We don't know what's on the agenda until the Friday before the week of the meetings, which is
unfortunately.
It's so frustrating. They don't put that stuff out so you can make plans and that you can get to Tallahassee quickly. That's why living in Tallahassee is an advantage. But I think the main thing that we need to pray for is favor. They actually have had committee meetings this month, but there was nothing on the agenda that we needed to respond to. I'm going to start reaching out to some of the legislators who are on that committee, Choice and Innovation, to bring to their attention the issues that need to be fixed that I know of at the present time on the PEP, such as, and I'm sure they're aware of it, but just to make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks, like transfer of credit from PEP to the school districts if a child goes back into the school districts. That may not be a category they think about, but it's also in the statute that we need to address that, to have an even, smooth flow from one to the other, seamless transition. And extracurricular activities, statute 1006.15, they need to add a new category for PEP students and for Bright Futures, and all of those activities need to be put into statutes, in those various statutes, so that they can make sure that each of the entities that are implementing those things have clear direction as to how and what they're supposed to do. So some of these questions, for example, the Seminole State College issue, if that had been put in the right statute when we were passing HB1, Seminole College would know what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to do it. They didn't implement those details, but I'm fairly, I'd say 98% sure there will be a glitch bill this year. That's why we want to collect that information. We can bring that to the legislators and their staff and make sure that anything we know about is covered in there. So a lot of the work that is involved in the committee meetings and in the session is done outside of the actual committee. But as far as praying for us, pray for wisdom, pray for favor, and for, just access to the people that we need to be able to contact to make this happen.
And for us to get moved.
Yeah, the strength to make it to the end.
That's great.
Wisdom.
Yes. Shara, I don't know how to say her last name. I dare to butcher it. So Shara Ratev. She says, so we are getting our kids evaluated through a neuropsychologist. Are you saying we can take that info to the school to get an IEP written and they wouldn't need further testing through the school?
For an IEP? Is that what she's asking?
Yes.
I can't see the question, so.
Yes. I'll say it slower.
Okay.
She says, so we are getting our kids evaluated through a neuropsychologist. Are you saying that we can take that info to the school to get an IEP written and they wouldn't need further testing through the school?
The school doesn't, to my knowledge, actually test the students. They assess the students' function and ability to function in a classroom, because an IEP is really to determine what services that child needs in a classroom to meet the free and appropriate public education statute that's a federal government law. And they have a team of people basing a lot of it on the teacher, and the teacher's saying, well, I implemented this and I tried this and this didn't work, and we need, speech and language for this child, or we need OT, or whatever they need.
And on Thursday, we had to tackle them.
So as far as assessments, I think that the one that you're getting will be significantly important to that committee. And what else they need, you will just have to contact the school district and see what else they need. If that test, or the person that you're getting the test through, once you get the results, and they could write a report that says, because of the test, we determined that the child needs occupational therapy or physical therapy or whatever they need to be successful in their education program. That would certainly help the committee to figure out what level of services that child needs.
Okay. She says back, that's important information. In Washington, my kids were tested in the school, so it seems like it may be a bit different.
Oh, yes. That would be helpful if it's a favorable IEP. You could bring that with you when you approach the school district.
Oh, it's something that existed elsewhere that they brought here.
Yeah. Because it's a
As a
federal
reference.
law, so it should be pretty uniform from state to state. Maybe not exact because each state implements rules to, well, I said the wrong word. They write rules to implement the federal law at each state level. So it may not be
Right.
completely uniform, but it'll be based on the federal
So then,
law.
But on
if her
premise, it's
kids
similar.
were if her kids were evaluated by the school in the other state, would that have meant that the school brought in somebody like a professional then to evaluate them?
No, the schools generally have a school psychologist that sits on the committee. They have a teacher, a social worker, and a couple of other positions. I don't remember what those are, but they're all school district employees, and
Okay.
they don't bring in outside professionals. That's why it was so important to get that language in the statute that they could use outside professionals in place of the ones at the school that may not know the child at all.
You guys may have noticed. So I appreciate. She says thanks for the direction. They had a school psychologist. You guys may have noticed in the comments section as you're typing, some of you have symbols next to your name, and some of you do not. So I kind of want to go through what those are a little bit. If you have the hands waving, or clapping, it looks like waving to me. You're a follower, and you follow home education to earn this badge. So everybody can have that if they follow the page. There's another one that is a shield. That's the moderators. So if you see one of us with a shield, we have top fans, and they have a diamond next to them. And top fans are people who earn a badge for their being actively engaged. They show up at the different live streams. They comment. They like other people's comments. They engage. And then there's the one that's a rising fan, which is a diamond that's like rocket blasting up. And these people are they've earned a badge for actively engaging with our content, and they're on their way to becoming a top fan. And then, of course, there's members, sharers, people who actually share the video. You can get this by sharing the current stream publicly. So there is a sharer badge, so we get to know who's actually sharing the stream. Shara has earned the follower badge, so thank you for following the page. There's lots of badges, and if you see people without a badge, go share, go like, go follow.
Yeah, Facebook likes its badges. It's also been doing this
It
thing
does.
recently because I have a business page on Facebook.
Okay.
You can accumulate points as a follower of a page for interacting, and then it tells that page's admin who its top engagers for the week are. So if you want to go compete for top engager for the week, just go comment on our posts and share them and interact on them, and
Yeah.
you'll end up being a top engager for the week. And you can get that
Competition
done
for
as
the
well.
top fan.
Does everybody get a trophy?
Yes, they get the badges. Yes, they get the badges. That's what I'm saying. Those are the trophies. Melissa asks another question. She says, this one's for Crystal. Do you know if there's still a glitch if I change my child from PEP to FESUA? He received a diagnosis.
As far as I know, the glitch is basically that if you make any edits to your application, it kicks your application back as if it's new. I assume that's a system-wide glitch, and so that it would probably affect you even switching between programs.
Yeah.
That said, if you need to switch or you want to switch,
You need to do it.
go ahead and do it. You just may also want to submit a support ticket letting them know that you've requested the switch so that they can track down your application and make sure it doesn't get lost.
I would say submit a, what'd you call it, ticket?
A support ticket.
A support ticket, because there are a limit on the number of FESUAs that can be awarded, and
Yeah,
also
Sue just said they're full.
Yeah, I think there's a waiting list.
On UA.
So rather than editing your actual application, just submit a support ticket, I think might be the best thing, and say that you'd like to be switched or like to be added to the waiting list, and see what they say. They may come back and say, go ahead and edit your application, but that way you haven't sent yourself to the back of the line accidentally by trying to make that switch.
Sorry to cut you off. I didn't. Sometimes the comments come in and they're like timely, and I'm trying to get to some of those. But yeah, I saw the daggers you threw at me with your eyes. I'm trying. I'm trying here. I have a hard stop time, unfortunately. I do have a call I have to get on with USF to fix the issue that they're having with their event programs that's coming up. So we'll have to wrap this up. But thank you all for being on the stream with us today. It's been a wonderful hour on this Monday afternoon, because it's now afternoon. Just to briefly recap, we'll also show our top sponsors and say thank you to them again, FPEA, and thank you for the information that they shared with us about the CLT test that's coming up. What was the date again for that, Crystal, that they need to?
The deadline for registering is October 26th, and then the actual
26th.
test is November 2nd.
And the link to that is in the comments.
And FPEA is doing their Zoom call on November 7th if you want more information about the test itself.
Yes, that's good. That's good to know. And we hopefully next week, I'm hoping we're going to try to smooth out all of the kinks and get it on the calendar and get everyone ready in time. There's a lot of moving parts to getting these streams together. So when things get last minute or somebody has to be shifted around, you guys even see today when I take the links from Crystal, sometimes it throws all of their faces around. So there's a lot of little technical things that go into bringing these streams together that I try to smooth out to make it smooth as possible. But that didn't make it for today to have that special guest. We are aiming for that maybe next week. So if you're looking forward to that, spread the word, tell people. And that's the STAR test, right, Brenda? Right, Brenda?
Yeah.
STAR test. And that's through
right.
Northridge Academy. And hopefully we'll have, is it Adrienne or Adrian? How do you pronounce it? Adrian. Hopefully we'll have Adrian on and she can speak. She was tied down today, but we're looking forward to that. What am I missing as a recap? We talked about it a lot today.
Check the forum. We're going to create a new testing section in the forum to post all this information.
Absolutely. Yeah, check the forum, follow the forum. What?
The new section will be up later today.
Oh, it'll be later today. We'll put the testing section up. Again, the forum is not just a place for us to post information. It's actually a place for community. So if you guys have questions that you want to throw out there, throw them out there. There's so much that we can do with that. I know everyone's got their Facebook groups and everything's kind of fractured, but like Brenda said, when we go to show that your voice matters and that there's a need for it, one of the things we'll be able to do is open our forum and show all of the comments and all of the parents and all of the concerns, and the questions keep getting repeated. Like, we'll be able to demonstrate the voices and mask the numbers in times like that. It also gives us, because it's free to create a site membership profile, and you have to in order to comment in the forums, it gives us a way to actually follow up with you. So if there's a specific thing that you need, like Lupita mentioned the one from Seminole today, and then trying to connect up and get us the email, all of that is just kind of smoothed out and taken care of, because we have, if the parent posts in there, they've created a membership profile, we have your contact information, we can literally get connected right to you. So it shortens the time needed to serve, as what we're trying to do. No, we're good. Yeah, and then of course, I'll end it with saying, please, if you haven't had a chance to support yet, please do so. We're not quite all the way there for what we need to support full-time lobbying. We're close. We're closing in, but we're not there. So please, whether it's $5, $10, $50, or $1,000, reach out to us and let us know. There's a lot there. What is this? Yeah, no, that's getting deleted. Seeing, I almost said what I say to my kids. It's a good thing I didn't say that. Please don't post random stuff in the comments. If you do, it just gets removed. But anyway, it's been a wonderful stream. Thank you guys for all of your time and attention, and we appreciate everything from our home education parents who support us as we try our best to work for you and support you. So, anything you want to add, Brenda? As we
Nope.
close?
Well, just stay tuned till next week. We'll have more updates for you.
Yes. Awesome. And I'll say everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Monday and the rest of your week. And with that, we're out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.